It's March, so that means it's time for another selection of great resources to help us all learn and grow. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, Principal Mission Designer, Max Puss. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you and your loved ones are well, and that you're having a great time, whether it be morning, evening, or night. Absolute pleasure to be having you, and for those of you who don't know, but those of you who know, start of the month as we're now into March, which is horrifying how quickly we're already going through this year. We're already in here, so it means that there are more incredible resources for you and I to look at and learn from. So we'll be going through a few that I recommend to any of you, and as I said, if any of you have great recommendations, you can either leave it in the comments below if you're listening via YouTube, or you can get in contact with me. All of the contacts will be down below alongside all of these resources for it. But first, let's have a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is none other than me. What I've done, everyone, and I hope you're excited for this, is I've actually created a level design kind of store. What I've done in this store is put up different kinds of tips and tricks that you can find there, whether that be my actual ebook itself, to that of level design pamphlets focused on different things such as traversal, stealth, breaking into the industry, as well as different talks that I have done which you cannot find anywhere else other than on this store. So if you are looking to improve on your level design skills and processes, then check out the Level Design Store, which will be down in the description below, where there'll be a link to find this. All you need to do is head over to gumroad.com/level design lobby. I hope you like what you see, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you, and now back to the show. So let's get into that. Of resource number one, this is a book, and this one is The Role of a Great Game Designer by Richard Carrillo. I believe I've pronounced your last name right there. I hope so, Richard. I've not fully read this one yet, just for transparency, but I was recommended to by a friend, and it turns out Richard had actually worked with another co-worker of mine, Kendall, if you remember Kendall, who's been on the show. And it's basically Richard kind of describing, again, what makes a great game designer, whether that be technical or the soft skills as well. Obviously, this show primarily does focus on that of the technical ability, but we have talked about how important it is for that of us to be able to communicate and make sure we can pitch our ideas correctly across. And I think that's really important for us to do with it all. So I said, I've only just started it. I haven't finished it, but it is enjoyable thus far. I'm really liking it. I'm trying to find the balance between sharing what's in the book, but not spoiling it as well. But again, it's a great one out there. Richard's got a absolute slew of experience. He's worked at Ubisoft Toronto. Richard is currently at Sledgehammer Games already. Again, so worked on a range of different titles. He's the creative director at Sledgehammer Games, but he's worked on that of Starlink, Splinter Cell, Homefront, Dead Space 2, the original Dead Space, Def Jam. So he's been around and in a very respectable spot and having an incredible career for that. So very much worth checking out. As I said, I only knew of him because of an ex-colleague who had worked with him, so that's great to see. And yeah, one that's very much worth listening to. So now, let's go on to resource 2. Now, this is the latest documentary by NoClip. I'm sure many of you are aware who NoClip are. This one's on returning to Monkey Island, talking about that, of the latest installment in Monkey Island. I'm sure many of you are aware of Monkey Island. I'm sure those who are not will now be able to tell my age from it, but God, I feel dated every year. But yes, it's quite a fascinating one to see kind of where they find the boundary of obviously updating it, but also that of respecting the original material. For those of you who don't know, Monkey Island was one of the biggest point-and-click adventures out there, and obviously the genre itself doesn't really exist as much anymore, sadly, when I think about it. So to see how they're kind of modernizing it, we'd obviously seen that of Tim Schafer with, I believe it was it Broken Age? I believe that happened about 5 or 6 years ago, if not longer, and their approach to that. So it's quite fascinating to see how they're, use the word reinventing, but modernizing, should we say, for a new take on such an existing franchise, and one that is definitely well beloved. It had a great sense of humor. I think it was one of the funniest games. And I think that's also fascinating to see, is there's not many humorous games, right? When we look at our cousins over in the film industry, you had a lot of comedy, rom-coms, and yet we don't necessarily have that in this genre. Well, this genre available to us in this medium. And I think it's, again, a great one to see and to kind of go through what kind of the aspects are for it. Now let's go on to that of resource number 3. This one I really did like. This is an article by Boris. I'm going to definitely butcher your name, Boris. I do apologize. Boris Barangolov. He does a really great idea on breaking down how obviously we gain a lot of inspiration from other games, and seeing how, say, have certain mechanics, certain features that work very well, but we can try emulate or replicate for our games, and they tend not to. So in this article, he goes through and kind of breaks down these kind of different ones and how he's learned from it, what the mechanics did, why didn't they work. Now, he said this is based on a previous talk he gave at the Nordic Games Fest in 2023, which there is a link to that in the article if you want to see that as well. But yeah, it's a really fascinating one because he looks at like the testings of it, battle passes, mechanics, to quite a few different things, and he's got a lot of evidence backing it as well, which is always great to see for it. So yeah, generally a really good one to take a look at, and I think it's just a fascinating one to see how a lot of us have tried this in our career, but also having facts and stats next to it is never a bad thing on that. So yeah, if you want to learn more about that one, check that out. I believe we're now on resource number 4. And for number 4, this one's a kind of a really nice article on that of Suda51, and talking about his time in the game industry and how it's kind of evolved. And for those you don't know, Suda definitely makes more, I guess I'm sure, I mean, this is the most professional, wackier games, a bit more unorthodox in certain ways, and being able to have one of the few that has survived, especially the test of time, as we're seeing more and more, right? And kind of breaking down his career with that, which is great to see. And I think it's also hopefully brings more hope for others who are kind of creating much more interesting games out there for it. So yeah, one that I enjoyed, and I think it's a fascinating one. I can't remember what his latest game was. No More Heroes 3 actually it was. But yeah, so he's, again, an incredible career, very different, very out there games, and I think hopefully it can inspire others as well. As the more diverse range of genres we have, I think it's only better for the medium.
At Level Design Lobby, we believe everybody has a story to tell. Hobbyist or student, freelancer or veteran, we made it our mission to unite those who share our passion for creating and developing great games. Thanks to our generous Patreon backers, we've been able to do just that. So if you've already pledged your support, thank you. If not, you too can ensure the future of Level Design Lobby, helping us to create even more exciting content, collaborations, interviews, and much more. With awesome perks and rewards, whether you're a seasoned professional or just getting started, you're sure to find something for you. Want to share tips, tricks, and advice with passionate, like-minded developers? Our awesome community Discord has you covered. Fancy practicing your level design, creating strong portfolio content, and having fun? Then try our level design weekends. Or perhaps you want to individually discuss your work, hone your skills, or level up your career? Then consider our one-on-one mentorships. If you share our vision, then go to patreon.com/Level Design Lobby for more information and to pledge your support. Thank you.
Now, the next one, I want to kind of keep this one brief for the fifth one, and that is IGN workers unionizing to fight for better wages and jobs. We've obviously talked about unions for the last couple of episodes in some ways with the state of the industry, and I think it's great to see this for that of IGN. I think the bit that makes me a little bit sad and maybe envious is maybe the better word, is it's great to see them do that while the dev side we're still like, I still see so many people umming and ahhing for it. So I'm really happy for them. Hopefully that achieves what they want because they deserve to be paid for their efforts fairly. Yeah, just wish we could have more for it, right? On that of the dev side. That's all the ones that we have for today. So we'll go through them again to list them through. Resource number 1 was that of a book by the creative director of Sledgehammer Game, Richard Carrillo, which is the role of a great game designer. Resource number 2 was NoClip's new documentary on that of Monkey Island. Then the third one was an article on game developer by Boris Brugilov, and that is the graveyard of features in games. Resource number 4 was Suda51 on 25 years of making games. And then the final one was that of the IGN unionization. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to talking to you more throughout the month as well. So if you do want to reach out to me, you can do so via Twitter, which is @MaxPairs. You can check all these resources. They will be down below in the descriptions. And thank you very much. And if you want to email into the show, you can at leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. Thank you all. Take care. And I'll catch you all next time.